welcome to In This Corner of the podcast, a buck 64. We give you boxing's biggest names, boxing's biggest stories, boxing's biggest fights, greatest memories and moments, and we do it all with the expertise of a writer, an author, a CompuBox counter, a historian, and a whole hell of a lot more. He is Lee Groves. How you doing, Lee?
Doing well. How about you?
Pretty good, and a lot to cover.
Yes.
We're gonna start out block one here. We'll get into what was a very busy Friday and Saturday night in Gotham. New York had some big fights on Friday. Was the women's card from MSG. Saturday, of course, shifted to, I think it was Louis Armstrong Arena.
Yes.
And we'll get to both of that right now. And then following that, Tommy Yankello from the World Class Boxing Gym. I think you're sporting and donning that shirt.
I am.
He'll be on, and we've got some breakdowns to do of what will be a busy weekend with Pacquiao Barrios, Fundora-Tszyu II, and Usyk-Dubois II, and perhaps a tornado warning again. But let's get to what took place, beginning with Friday night from MSG with the gals going at it.
Yeah, you're right. This was an extremely busy boxing weekend. And you might say we went to the good old days where a lot of the action took place from New York City. On Friday, the scene was Madison Square Garden for the all-female card, topped by Katie Taylor's majority decision victory over Amanda Serrano. She's now 3 for 3 on U.S. soil. But before that, Australia's Trineka Johnson became the undisputed women's bantamweight champion with an 8th-round TKO over Texan Sharetta Metcalf. And Alicia Baumgardner retained her undisputed 130-pound championship with a wide unanimous decision victory over the previously undefeated Jennifer Miranda. Other results from the card included Ramla Ali winning a hotly disputed 8-round unanimous decision over Lila Furtado, Tam Tebow scoring a 5th-round TKO over the previously undefeated Mary Casamassa. Ellie Scottney, she became a 3-belt super bantamweight champion with a lopsided unanimous decision against Yamileth Mercado. Shadesha Green, she captured a split decision over Savannah Marshall to become a unified champion at 168. And Chantel Cameron retained her secondary WBC super lightweight title with a dominant decision over Jessica Kamra. Now, with that win, Chantel Cameron becomes the next likely opponent for Katie Taylor, with whom she has split 2 previous contests. Now as for me, most trilogies include one fight that doesn't quite measure up to the other 2 in terms of action and drama. For Ali Frazier and Gatti Ward, it was their second fights. For Leonard Duran, it was their third. And for Taylor Serrano, it was this fight because of what Serrano said in the post-fight interview. She wanted to do something different. She wanted to, quote, work smarter, not harder. Because of that, she ended up trying to outbox the boxer, and she ended up paying the price on 2 of the scorecards. Now, to me, she won the first 2 fights by being herself. But this time she played Katie's game and she lost. What are your thoughts about what happened?
Well, first off, I would say that Katie made her play her game because I thought Katie won the first fight. Second fight, I would have probably slanted towards Serrano. This one really just showed who's the better fighter. Clearly, I mean, there's a separation. Katie Taylor is simply a better all-around fighter. You can see that in her boxing ability, in her ring generalship, in her defense, in her craft. She's just better. She has a little bit more in the toolbox. Having said that, they're both first ballot Hall of Famers. But I told you weeks ago, every time you would bring this thing up, it's not going to be that great of a fight, if you remember. I told you that when they fight for a third time, the level of knowledge that they have for one another and the level of respect that they've gained for one another makes it almost like a sparring match because everybody knows what's going to happen. They know the moves, and therefore you have a lot of waiting, much more because the offensive person is trying to do their thing, but the defensive person knows what they're going to do, and the defensive person is waiting for a counter move, and the offensive person knows it's coming. it's common sense. Most boxing people don't have much common sense, so they don't get it. They really, truly don't understand the game. And that's what you got there. I'm done with that series. I hope it's over and done with. It was really great. They're both Hall of Famers, two of the best to ever do it. But there is a separation. Katie Taylor is a better fighter than Amanda Serrano, and won't argue with you that first fight, I didn't have trouble scoring it, but a lot of people had it your way. Second fight was really close. Serrano might have edged it. This fight, there was no doubt. And I think that no doubt is the separation between these two. But really, hats off. I don't wear a hat too much, but hats off to the card, and the promotion did a good job. And
Mhm.
but I kind of do agree with Christy Martin and what she said last week. We don't need all women's cards. We just need to have them spread. Some of these women's fights on the undercard are just as good as some of the men's main events. So I just think there shouldn't be a separation. They should mix them all. I actually agree with Christy on that.
And as far as being done with the series, both of them are done with the series. They said
Yeah,
that
right,
there's
right.
going to be no number four, and they have other business to attend to. Probably Amanda moving down in weight. Katie Taylor, undisputed champion at 140. She's got Chantel Cameron. I
Right.
think like Serrano, I thought Cameron won both of their previous fights as well. So we'll see if that fight gets signed. Well, we move on to Saturday, the day after that. The scene shifted to Louis Armstrong Stadium in Queens. And as bad as the fight card in Times Square was, this was how good this show was. There was no Tom and Jerry fights from top to bottom. They absolutely delivered. Last week we focused on four fights, and the first saw David Morrell win a controversial off the floor split decision against Imam Katayev, who was allowed to fight despite being handed a 2-year suspension by the International Testing Agency after testing positive for clomiphene. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, that's the same drug linked to Conor Benn, Robert Helenius, and the fighter who competed after that, Alberto Puello. Puello defended his WBC super lightweight title against former IBF belt holder Subriel Matias.
Hey, but before you go into that, what did you think of the Morrell fight? Who do you think won?
I think Katayev won the fight. He scored a knockdown. He was the effective aggressor. David Morrell just does not look the same at 175
No,
as he did
he's
at
not. He looks
164.
like he's regressing rather than progressing. I just wanted you to get that out because I agree with you. Go ahead.
Very much. And speaking of that, Subriel Matias built a solid lead on the scorecards in the first 8 rounds. He pushed a very hard pace. He was landing the harder shots, but that pace eventually eroded Matias's gas tank, and Puello closed the gap in the final 4 rounds. As far as the judges are concerned, the comeback fell just short, and Matias was declared the majority decision winner. Now, after the fight, Turki Al-Sheikh declared that Matias would risk the belt against England's Dalton Smith on the November 22nd card in Saudi Arabia, and the winner of that fight will fight Puello. So, any thoughts on the Puello Matias scrap that we
Not
saw?
yet. Got a lot of time, but I thought Puello deserved to win the fight. And Matias, he's just not improving. He's just got too leaky. You just can't come in with your head, right there on a swivel, no head movement, no shoulder movement. His punches fell flat at times. Yes, he can punch. He will walk through normal opposition, but now he's not going to be fighting normal opposition. And I think he has been exposed. And I don't know if at this stage in his career whether you can fix the flaws. And I like him. I like him, but man, he's just got too. He might be fun to watch,
Mhm.
but it's not gonna last much longer because he's gonna start getting his ass kicked by a lot of people now that they figured him out.
I scored the fight even 114, 114. I could definitely see how Puello could have retained the championship as well. He was a better ring general, especially late. We'll see what happens down the line. And then there was the co-main event that we really talked a lot about last week, and it was the subject of my tornado warning. WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson versus interim titleist William Zepeda. And I think it lived to all the expectations, at least as far as the in-ring action is concerned. But in the end, Stevenson rightly won on points, but by margins that I thought were far too wide. 119-109 and 118-110. That's 11 rounds to 1 and 10 rounds to 2. That doesn't reflect to me what happened in the ring. In fact, I think those scores were insulting to Zepeda. He pressed the action all the way. He even rattled Stevenson a time or two. Not seriously hurt, but he rattled him a little bit. But Stevenson won because he was exquisitely accurate, and his connects had far more snap than those of Zepeda, which is somewhat surprising because Zepeda has 27 knockouts and 33 wins. But Zepeda's knockouts were more of the attrition type. Now, I predicted the upset last week, and although it didn't come through, the nature of the action was exactly what I thought it would be. Zepeda started fast. He threw 71 punches in the first round. That's what he needed to do. And Stevenson won because he rose to the moment. He handled his business in the ring like a true champion. Good on him, and congratulations.
Yeah, and the separation, just like with Katie Taylor and Serrano, the separation is just too great. And you are right. And what's so puzzling is I remember at the Hall of Fame doing a panel with all the damn judges, and they said nobody even pays attention to ring generalship or defense anymore. Well, then how could you possibly give Shakur all of those early rounds? Because that's what he won it on. If he won it, which I didn't think he did win the early rounds,
No.
he would have won it off ring generalship and precise, accurate punching, but not nearly as many, 2 to every 17 of Zepeda, and then just exquisite defense. He is the closest thing to Floyd Mayweather that is in boxing today. He is that guy. He is the closest thing there is to it. He looked terrific. He made some disparaging comments about the great Sugar Ray Robinson that I think he regretted afterwards, or somebody told. He'll never be that guy because, see, that guy can do all of that stuff if he wanted to, and also knock your ass out with either hand, and Shakur can't do that, and he certainly won't do that when he moves up. But he is a wonderful, wonderful prize fighter.
He really is. And
as for Zepeda, let me say this, because I told you
Sure.
for weeks, I've just seen too many leaky things with Zepeda. He comes in, head down, head right there to be hit. Not a lot of upper body, not a lot of head, not a lot of rolls, not a lot of movement with his feet. And that therefore he's limited. He'll beat everybody else. And he could even have, I doubt he'll be a Hall of Famer, but he certainly, you never know. But again, he also lacks, he's an arm puncher, complete arm puncher. He doesn't put anything behind his punches because when you're throwing that many, you can't.
Right.
So therefore, that's what you get with him. But you were right. You might have missed out on the prediction, but you nailed what we were going to see.
Yeah. And finally, the main event paired Edgar Berlanga, who, before the fight, declared himself the King of New York, against Hamza Shiraz, who had a new trainer in Andy Lee. He was fighting in the U.S. for the first time, and he was doing so in a new weight class. But as it turned out, Shiraz crowned Berlanga by flooring him twice and scoring the fifth round TKO. And given his behavior during the buildup, this was a most welcome result. For me, Berlanga has got a lot of thinking to do because he has now become the logical successor to Ricardo Mayorga and Adrian Broner, the man that the stars used to build up the gate, and then when fight night comes along, they beat him
add
up.
Ryan Garcia to that list.
Yes, you can very much so. What would Shiraz? I'm thinking, where was this guy against Carlos Adames?
Yeah, you were
I picked
texting me
Shiraz to
that,
beat
'cause
Adames.
I
and he
told
won
you a
an eight.
minute into the fight that this guy's probably going to knock Berlanga out, basically. And you were saying right then, yeah, where was that guy?
Yeah,
Berlanga's basically a really good club fighter that destroyed easy opposition when he was coming up, 16 or something in a row, first round knockouts. Doesn't even know how to get to round 3, 4, 5, 7, and is so limited. He's just so limited as a prize fighter. He has some power. He's tough. He gets knocked down, but he gets up. But he doesn't have those guys that seemingly have the loudest and nastiest mouth are the ones with the weakest of all beards. Makes you wonder why couldn't Canelo take him out of there as we think ahead, and we'll get to that in a few months. But yeah, Berlanga got what he deserved, and
Mhm.
Shiraz, to me, he looks like he could be. Beware of those skinny dudes, lanky dudes, man. They're dangerous, and he was, and he proved it. And I think Berlanga will be. Well, I've already seen he has become a meme of himself.
Yeah, I mean, you said that Berlanga got what he deserved. Shiraz got what he
True.
deserved. He worked for it. As far as the previews are concerned, the next segment with Tom Yankello, it'll be devoted to the three big fights that will take place later today. But there are even more attractive fights that will happen on the undercards. For instance, on the Barrios-Pacquiao undercard on Amazon Prime, Isaac Pitbull Cruz and Angel Fierro will engage in an immediate rematch of their classic slugfest won by Cruz on the David Benavidez David Morrell undercard on February 1. It was the fight of the night and it's still a candidate for fight of the year. It was so good. It's really good on them that they're going to do this again tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. And also on that card, Brandon Figueroa, who's coming off a loss to Stephen Fulton, will fight Joet Gonzalez, who is coming off a win against Arnold Kigai in a Classics Crossroads featherweight match. And Gary Russell Jr., former longtime WBC featherweight champion, will emerge from a 3.5 year retirement to fight Hugo Castaneda. Now, Russell says that if he wins, he wants to fight the recently retired Vasily Lomachenko. And if he can't get him into the ring, he wants to arrange a sparring session with him just to get everything off his chest. Here's why Russell wants to fight Loma. Look, they fought in 2014 for the vacant WBO featherweight title. Loma won on points, and Gary Russell wants his vengeance. And finally, on DAZN, WBO super flyweight champion Jesse Bam Rodriguez, one of the pound for pound best, will attempt to become a unified champion at 115 by fighting IBF counterpart Fumalela Cafu in Frisco, Texas. The co-main event of that will see Diego Pacheco, who is the WBO's #1 super middleweight contender, mandatory for Canelo, by the way. He will fight Trevor McCumbee, who in his last fight floored Caleb Plant in round 4, only to be stopped in round 9 last September. What a July it's already been. It looks like even more action is on the way.
Yep. And let's get to a couple of quick news items before we go to Tommy Yankello.
Yeah, last week we reported that Ricky Hatton is scheduled to return to the ring after 13 years away. But a few days later, Ricky's son Campbell has announced his retirement from the ring at age 24 following back-to-back losses to James Flint. Reports indicate that those losses, combined with the shocking death of a close friend at just 27 years old, prompted Campbell to make this move. He just felt that his heart was no longer in boxing. And as for what he'll do to make a living going forward, Ricky Hatton said that his son has gotten a job installing solar panels. Now, Smitty, you often talk about fighters choosing the right time to leave the sport and doing so with their faculties intact. It looks as if Campbell Hatton has made that choice, so good on
Oh,
him.
an absolute, yeah, no brainer for him. He tried it. He gave it his all. He didn't have much of an amateur career. Then he fought in the pros, and being Ricky Hatton's son, come on, you could see that he really didn't have the Ricky Hatton stuff. Ricky's another story we won't get into right now, but I of course don't want Ricky to fight anymore for the obvious reasons. But yeah, and I know you got something on Donald Curry before we go to break.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad story. Donald Curry and his family have fallen on hard times. According to his sister, Roxy Harris, with whom Curry lives, she said that she and the Hall of Famer currently live in low income housing. And because he's not listed on the lease, they were served an eviction notice. They are attempting to raise $5,000 on GoFundMe to cover emergency housing, legal assistance, and essential living expenses while they fight to stay together and safe. I checked the GoFundMe account yesterday, and as of then, they had raised almost $3,500. But hopefully, they can land on their
Well,
feet.
maybe there's a way in some of your teasers, you can put a link or put a way that they can go on that in the description. So maybe perhaps that'll either be in one of your clips that you promote the show or maybe in the actual breakdown. That would be Donald Curry is well worth it. Hall of Famer Donald Curry. We're going to take a little break, come back. Tommy Yankello from the World Class Boxing Gym joins us to break down some big fights taking place today. We'll do that after you see this. Back on In This Corner, the podcast, boxing's biggest names, boxing's biggest stories, boxing's biggest fights, greatest memories and moments. This is one of my favorite segments when we get a chance to do it, when we break down, dissect, and predict who's going to win the big matchups in boxing. Regis Prograis is sometimes with us for this, pretty much all the time, but he's busy training for a fight himself, so I've given him a pass in the week off, but this guy will never get away because if you watch his tutorials, Tom Yankello from the World Class Boxing Gym, Lee, I just said to you that if Emmanuel Stewart were here, if Angelo Dundee or Eddie Futch, they would all say Smitty's right. Katie Taylor's a better fighter than Serrano because they have the brilliant eyes. And they would all say the same thing that I'm going to say right now, that there's nobody better in the business at doing these tutorials and teaching fighters proper fundamentals. And not just, you go from the symmetry of a fighter all the way to throwing each punch and then how to get away from each punch and then how to set up each punch. Where the hell were you when I had my damn career? I could have been a contender if I had had a Tommy Yankello. So that's all I got to say. Your stuff is fantastic.
I really appreciate that, Smitty. Thank you.
So what have you been up to? You come to town and want to hang out with Smitty when Smitty's in Newark calling fights. I know you were in Vegas. You've had some tournaments. Just update us, if you will, in a couple of minutes here on what's been going on with you.
Oh, it's got a lot of stuff going on. Took my pros out there also. I had an amateur tournament. We come up a little short with that, but I had my pros, got a real great week of sparring in. My light heavyweight, my featherweight, my other middleweight who was national Golden Glove champion. And this weekend, we just had a fight weekend where I had a heavyweight win, first round knockout, and also my junior middleweight won by first round knockout. And then this weekend here at the Meadows Casino in Washington, PA, right outside of Pittsburgh, I have Danny Bodish fighting again. He's the one that's in a lot of my videos. And then I have Daniel Ulusanov, the 2016 gold medalist from Kazakhstan, and also my heavyweight is scheduled to fight as well. His opponent fell out over the weekend, so we're working feverishly on finding someone else. The guy got hurt his hand. I mean, we have just not had luck with my heavyweight, but I feel he could be one of the best heavyweights in the world, and hopefully we're gonna have an opponent he's gonna fight also Saturday. So I got all three of those guys scheduled to fight Saturday. So I've just been real hectic from week to week here.
So we'll look for all that. We'll look for all that on your social media. Question for you: you put out so much, and I mean, your stuff is so damn good that so many of the great fighters even watch it, and then kids coming up. But how do you select? Okay, what am I going to put out this week? I mean, what pops into your mind, or is it just that you think, hey, I'm going to talk about slipping, I'm going to talk about parrying, I'm going to talk about the back foot, the front foot, the this? Where do you come up with your ideas each week?
Yeah, it just pops up in my head as I go because it's a certain, I'm in the gym and certain things I see that maybe need to be addressed or that I address in the gym. And I figure if I address it to my guys in the gym, it's something that everybody would want to be get that information and be able to so that's what I do. I make it up as I go because it's everyday process. You never stop learning.
Yeah, that's the great thing about that is the great. Now, by the way, did you get a chance to see the Katie Taylor Serrano fight?
I did not, because that was the same night we had fights. They were fighting, and I didn't get out of our fights till after midnight, and then the next day I didn't get a chance.
Okay, but you probably saw some of the first two fights. And this one, you've seen Katie fight and Serrano fight before?
I believe they were the ones that fought on the Jake Paul Tyson card.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, I seen a little bit of that fight, but I'll be quite honest with you. There's like so much going on with what I'm doing that there's only a few big fights that catch my interest.
Yeah,
to the
I
point
know. That's why I was just saying to Lee that I can just so clearly see that Katie Taylor's a better fighter than Serrano, even though Serrano, you can really make an argument, could have won two of them. I had Katie win in the first, Serrano edge in the second, Katie win in this one pretty decisively only because Serrano didn't do much. But I was just explaining to Lee and the audience how, for me, sometimes the better fighter doesn't always win. There's always going to be people that also have your number, but you're probably the same way. You can look at a fighter and clearly see this fighter has so much more, but yet that doesn't mean they're going to win. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes will does defeat skill. It really does.
Without a doubt. I mean, there was a reel that I put out last week. It had the 20 reasons why a fighter with less skill will beat you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's Bill. Well, then we should pull that one up in light of what we just spoke about. All right, we got a lot to get to. Go ahead, take it away, Lee.
Yeah, we're going to be breaking down the three big fights from this weekend. The first is the rematch between Sebastian Fundora and Tim Tszyu. In their first fight, it was a bloodbath, and Sebastian Fundora, who was a substitute for Keith Thurman, he stepped into the breach. He won 2 belts that night. They're going to be meeting again. How do you see this fight turning out? What factors do you think are the most important for Fundora to do best, for Tszyu to do best, and who do you think is going to win?
Oh, that's a tough one, man. These are tough fights to pick, really are, because that was a close fight and it was a bloodbath on Tim Tszyu had to overcome all that blood and adversity, and I believe the fight was still a split decision.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, in my thought process, is that I don't think the fight will be much different. I think that Fundora fought a pretty good fight, but I think that Tszyu probably wasn't able to fight his best fight because of the cut. And however, since that fight, he suffered a devastating KO, and who knows what he has left. So it's kind of like a trade-off to which, like, I would think if he would have never been knocked out the way he was, that the fight would be very similar. But I think that Tszyu, I don't think Fundora could have fought a much better fight than last time, but I think Tszyu could. So that would make me lean towards Tszyu. But at the same time, being what happened to him could be, like I said, a trade-off to sway it the other way. I feel like Fundora, he's got to do what he was doing. He was keeping Tszyu on the end of it. Tszyu's trying to cut the distance. He's going to have to cut the distance and use his jab to cut the distance, which I think he was trying to do in the last fight. But I think a lot of the blood was kind of something that hindered that. I don't know, man. If I have to pick somebody, I'm going to pick. Well, I guess maybe it would be the upset now. I'm going to say that Tszyu's going to edge Fundora the way Fundora edged Tszyu. And maybe it might go the other way for the simple fact that Tszyu doesn't have as much left because of his psychologically, he's not the same after suffering the loss that he got stopped in. But if it's the same two guys fighting minus the cut, I'm gonna lean towards Tszyu in a close one.
Okay. Well, the main event of that card is going to see Mario Barrios defend against 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao, who's coming back from almost 4 years away. There's a lot of mystery and intrigue surrounding this. How do you break that one down?
There's a lot of mystery. You ain't kidding. I just don't know. I mean, Pacquiao's been out for so long. It's hard to think that he's going to come back better, but is he refreshed from the time off? And I hate to say this like on the air, but like who knows what supplements he's on? I mean, I have, but at the same time, um, I'll tell you this: a prime Manny, of course, or even a Manny of maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I believe could beat Barrios because Barrios is tailor made for Pac. And Styles make fights, and he's if you watch Southpaw Gervonta Davis fight Mario Barrios, he was open all night he was open for the right hook over the top because Barrios he leans, he's past his front leg. Foundational wise, like I always look at fundamentals, how you exploit or you attack somebody and you come up with a strategy. And Freddie Roach is very good with strategy because I've faced him before, and it was a fighter that I was working with at one time, and I didn't start him, and he came with me, and I knew his flaw, and I worked with the kid on the flaw over and over and again, but he wasn't able to correct it the way. And when we went into that fight, he had his fighter exploit that flaw. He was attacking the flaw, and I could see it plain as day because I knew what the flaw was. So he's a guy that is a film watcher, and he's fundamentally he watches film and breaks guys down what their flaws are and where their openings are. And Manny's right hook is going to be it can be a huge asset in that fight. The way Gervonta Davis knocked Barrios down with the right, and the other thing because he's leaning, he's exposing the most devastating shot in boxing, really, in my opinion, is the liver shot, and that's what Davis knocked Barrios out when he stopped him. So the style is prime for Pacquiao, believe it or not. Now, can he do it? That's the thing. But man, that's a hard one to pick because you just don't know. It's so hard to pick against a legend because you always want to have that. It's like rooting for Jack Nicklaus when he won the Masters at 46, and George Foreman when he won the heavyweight title at 45. I have a hard time rooting against him just because I'm a fan too, and I've always liked him. I don't know. I really don't.
Sounds like what you're saying. If it was the great Manny Pacquiao, he destroys him. If it was an over-the-hill Manny Pacquiao, he still would have a shot. But this is a 46-year-old
I hear
Manny
you.
Pacquiao.
I hear you 100%.
It sounds like a head-heart proposition. Your head says Barrios, your heart says Manny Pacquiao, right?
And how many times, like, if you're betting on a fight that, like, this is the sport that's the expect the unexpected, the element of
the unexpected, yeah.
You know what I mean? You just never know. You know what I mean? Like, I just think, like I said, I think the style's prime for Pacquiao. I just don't like. I mean, I'd be interested to just see if he could pull it off. I don't know.
I would rather. Well, and I didn't tell him. I had a lot of time to spend with him. We were sitting next to each other when I was hosting the Hall of Fame, and I'm just at a point in life and career where why the results, no matter what, even if he pulled off, he beats Barrios. But the negative side to that is how many more punches are just way too many more punches, So that's where I go. But anyway, I'll save my pick for later on. We got the big one now, though, right, Lee?
Yeah, Alexander Usyk, Daniel Dubois II. They're going to be fighting for the undisputed championship. Usyk was stripped of the IBF title for political reasons, and now he has a chance to win back that lost belt that Dubois picked up in the interim. How do you see this one?
Wow, this is a good one here, I think. Well, I'll tell you. I think that Usyk is really good, and he's got a great lead hand. He knows how to move it. Like I actually did some videos that are going to be coming up on Usyk and how he manipulates and does things to people with his lead hand and really controls.
Almost like fencing. It's almost like fencing a little bit.
Yes, exactly. And he knows how to dictate the pace with it. He knows how to always keep you thinking about his lead hand so he can make other adjustments and other moves. And then on the other side of the coin, a much improved Daniel Dubois. He's a guy that, some people I heard after the last fight when he fought Joshua, they were saying he was the next Sonny Liston, and he has a great jab like Liston.
Mhm.
And I think he does have a strong jab, and I think he's probably improved. But I always tell everybody the jab is not the most important punch in boxing. It's the lead hand that's the most important punch in boxing. And what that means is, like Smitty just said, fencing, and learn how to defend with your lead hand and learn how to jab at your. It's all of the above. It's not just the jab. And I think that Usyk has a better lead hand, even if his jab maybe is not physically as powerful, and he knows how to change speeds with it. He knows he has more of a variety of jabs. He's more well-rounded with the jab. He's got different jabs. It might not just have the
Great
single
point.
powerful jab. You know what I mean? He can throw it from different angles. He can throw it from different trajectories. He can throw it at different speeds. He can throw it at different fist positions in different ways, up and under, turn his fist vertical. He has a great lead hand. That's why he's the heavyweight champion of the world. That's why he was the undisputed a cruiserweight champion in the world, and I just think that he's too good, and I think he's going to beat Dubois. I don't know if he'll stop him like he did last time, but I think he beats him. I'll pick him to win.
Okay.
Going to be, it could be maybe a more competitive fight. I think Dubois got to use his jab, and he's got to put the pressure on him. But it's hard to fight Usyk because if you try to box him, he knows how to put the pressure, just like he did to Fury. If you try to stay on the outside of him, he knows how to deal with that. If you put the pressure on him, he knows how to step around you. He knows how to dictate a jab, like he did with Joshua. Joshua thought he was going to, and he's a well-rounded fighter. I don't think. I think the biggest thing that you could ever do with Usyk is really you have to put him in a, believe it or not, in a phone booth, because he's good at cutting distance on you. He's good at maintaining distance, but I've never seen anybody in his chest, and I don't think Dubois is the guy that can do that. I think a guy like Joe Frazier would have been a guy that could have gave Usyk problems, or a guy that's just better with the jab, like my guy Ivan Ditchko. I feel is going to step up and be better than Tyson Fury was. So um, those are the kind of ways you're going to have to beat him if you're a taller guy, a smaller, a guy like Dubois. He's got a little bit of reach on Usyk, but he don't have
Got
that
to know how
kind.
to use it.
That's not his style to be.
Yeah.
He's not the boxer that he needs to be. So you can't coach somebody. You can't coach somebody to do something that they're not able to do in the gym, or you until you teach them how to do it. You can't coach them to do it. So if I'm in Dubois' corner, I'm not going to try to make him be this boxer. He's going to have to put the pressure on with a jab to the chest, and he's going to have to back Usyk up and try to win the fight, sort of like he did last time he tried. Usyk was just too good, and I feel he'll be a little too good this time as well.
I don't want to give too much of what I'm going to say in the final segment, but any chance, in your opinion, that the 24 rounds with Fury being such a big guy, and the fact that he's 38 plus years of age, and he's had that long career, great amateur career, up from cruiser to heavyweight. My only concern would be, could we see him possibly get old overnight against a guy who's in his 26, 27 years of age, and Dubois?
Great point, Smitty. They get old in a day sometimes, right? So I remember Mickey Ward saying when he fought Terry Gatti, he said he got old in one round. He said between the eighth
Yeah.
between the eighth and ninth round and the third fight, he says I got old in one round.
Yeah.
So
So summarizing,
yeah.
you're picking Zoo on points. You're picking Usyk on points.
I'm gonna.
Did you give us a pick for Barrios-Pacquiao?
Come on, Tommy. No vacillation.
Come on, Tommy.
We know you love Manny, but he's just too old. But I'm not going to speak for you.
You're swaying me, man. You're swaying. Now, before you said that, I was swaying the other way. Oh man, I'll tell you, tailor made for Pacquiao. Let's just go with Pacquiao. I can be.
Okay. There you go.
Hey,
tornado warning.
Hey, I would love for you to be right. I would love for you to be right. Before we let you go, what are we to be on the lookout for? You mentioned something about some stuff you're going to have on Usyk, and what are we to look forward to?
Yeah, I started my regular Sunday videos on my YouTube channel, so they're back. They're back now, so they'll be coming out every Sunday. They're the longer tutorials. I put a lot of shorts out. The Sunday videos are usually 5 minutes or more. So those are back, and then hopefully when I get some time, I got some really good instructors going to come out. I'm going to do a full tutorial on all the different ways that you can use the jab. And I'm going to come out with some southpaw orthodox videos to teach how you fight the opposite stance for both sides. And that's what I'm kind of working on. That's where my mindset's at.
Yeah,
And
I mean that's why they call it.
I have my light heavyweight is going to fight September 5th in Philadelphia, Tifo Burlington, who's ranked number 7 in the WBA. And then it's looking like hopefully, again, my heavyweight and Daniel Lusinov are going to be fighting. They're going to have a 3-day fight weekend. The week is what I'm hearing, the Crawford Canelo in Vegas. So I maybe get a chance to see you again, because those guys were supposed to fight in one of those nights. Because they're probably they have actually signed already with the new league that Dana White is coming out with. He's coming out. You know them guys I'm talking about. So we're going to see what that brings. I think it's an exciting time in boxing. I think that might really fight, like, what Dana White is a pretty mastermind. He's, these guys in the UFC, they all fight. There's not no, so we're hopefully going to start a league in boxing. It's going to be something where it's really refreshing, because there is going to be no, picking and choosing and backing and ducking and all that. And everybody's going to be in this league, and they're all going to fight. So, Lusinov and Ditchko have signed with that company that Dana White is coming out with.
Well, that it would be good to see you. Yeah, last time I was in Newark, I know you caught up with my pal, the Pocket Rocket, Wayne McCulloch, and you caught up with one of your former students named Spadafora.
Yes, sir, for sure. Yeah, we had a good time that week. We had a good time.
Sorry that I missed you. Well, we hope that Lee. When are we? Was that when we'll have Tommy back on? Will it be in for that fight
Probably
with Crawford
for,
and
Canelo and Crawford?
All right, we're not gonna do the picks yet. But I will say that I'm still leaning towards Crawford. You don't have to give your pick, but are you leaning one way or another? Canelo here or Crawford there? Is there a leaning of Tommy Yankello at this point?
There's a lot of variables in that fight, because Canelo, you would think, is the guy that's sliding down the hill, but at the same time, Crawford is the more inactive, older fighter. Chronologically, right? He's an actual older age. So I got time to think about that one. I kind of like, all things considering, it's a very tough fight to pick. I mean, I kind of leaned before towards Crawford, but the inactivity has been creeping in my head, and just his overall age. And I don't like the way he looked in the last fight. And I feel like when he puts on this weight, if he puts it on the wrong way, like I'm a big believer in that's just, these guys don't know what they're doing with that. Like I like when Sugar Ray Leonard went up to middleweight and fought Haggard. Did he try to put on all this muscle and weight? No, he didn't. You know what I mean? Why can these guys not? When Roberto Duran beat Iran Barkley, who was you think he wasn't the same man he was at lightweight?
Yeah.
He didn't, no muscle. He looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. He beat him with skill.
Yeah.
He's a 35, all-time great at 135 and 147, fighting a real full-fledged middleweight. Do you think he tried to put on muscle to beat him? Sugar Ray Leonard didn't try to put on no muscle to beat Hagler. These guys put on this muscle. It hinders their skill set.
Well, even if you look at Usyk, he's gotten bigger, but he's not. He didn't put on all the massive stuff that would slow him down. Something I said it to him on the air. Something I felt David Tua did, even as a heavyweight. When they tried to bulk Tua up to make him bigger, I felt it completely slowed him down. He lost his elasticity. The left hook couldn't get there anymore, and I 100%. But we got plenty of time. I just wanted to tease it. I'm excited. It's one of the few times. And we were, by the way, for all of you watching who are now all into this fight, it was 2 or 3 years ago when I told everybody this fight was going to happen. We did an entire show breaking down Crawford and Canelo, and of course, I explained why I felt Crawford's a better all-around fighter. But anyway, we got a lot of time. I can't wait for that one. That's going to be a great one. Thanks for joining us. And please check out Tommy Yankello and the World Class Boxing Gym. If I make a comeback, I'm going to his damn gym. I highly doubt. If Manny Pacquiao wins, I'm making a freaking comeback. I'm coming back. We'll be back. Don't believe any of that. We'll be back.
Thanks.
I got two options. Option one, I can accept defeat. Option two, I can get up. I can get tougher. I can get faster. I can get stronger. And then I go get mine. I made my choice. Have you made yours?
Back in this corner, the podcast, and it is time to talk about Dr. Nam
Fun.
There you go. Dr. Nam Phan. He specializes in full mouth cosmetic, veneers, crowns, dental implants, and I got a visit to the good doctor. A week from today, we're shooting this on a Tuesday, and I'll be with him. Now, maybe we'll do the podcast right from the office of Dr. Nam Phan, but not if he gives me that stuff that he gave me the last time, because my career might come to an abrupt end. And yeah, he he gave me some stuff that the sedation was comfortably numb. Pink Floyd would have loved it. But anyway, he is an expert. And I mentioned last week, for those that get at a certain age, really implants are the way to go. They really, truly are. I mean, even caps and crowns, and he does all that, but they go bad after a while. The bone structure changes in your mouth. In fact, for me, they even had to build up bone, and that's what's been going on. They did the work and they put in the bone, and then it takes time to seed or whatever. I'll get him. We're going to do an infomercial with him where he can explain all of this, and I go back in. I'm just about ready for the final results. But Dr. Nam Phan is fantastic. He's located in Las Vegas, in New York, and New Jersey. I always like to give this is the one I'll be at next week, 2121 East Flamingo Road. His number, and you can get him this way if you're in New York, if you're listening, or New Jersey, or Vegas, or anywhere else in the world, 702-637-9168, 702-637-9168. The other thing, a lot of people don't have dental insurance. Do you have dental insurance, Lee?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay, see, there you go. That's why Dr. Phan can help you, because he can set up plans for you when you go get all your pearly whites. And because Lee, we're going to do a full mouth implant situation on Lee with Dr. Nam Phan. I look forward to seeing him a week from today, and I look forward to these fights, and we are going to start dissecting. Take it away, Mr. Groves.
Yeah, we're going to start with the rematch between Sebastian Fundora and Tim Tszyu, and the reason why it was made is because of what happened in the first fight. Tszyu was winning, it seemed, in the early rounds, seemed to be taking command. Then he ran into the elbow of Fundora. It opened up the cut on his scalp. It bled for the entire fight. And a lot of people thought that Tszyu won the fight anyway. And now this is the rematch. I think that this fight is going to be conducted under different circumstances. Both have had a full training camp. Both have tape to study on each other. And both will have clean faces in 12 fresh rounds. And also, Tommy brought this up as well. Fundora is coming off a very impressive performance against Cordell Booker. He looked terrific. He finally starts using his jab as well as his great inside game. He showed he can dominate a fight from long range. And Tszyu did suffer that third round knockout to Murtazaliev. And he looked terrific in his last fight against Joey Spencer. But it'll be interesting to see if Tszyu has gotten over the psychological trauma of bleeding so heavily in the first fight. When he fought Murtazaliev, their heads kind of bumped, and Tszyu went immediately. He was looking for the cut on his head. And I wonder if being in the same ring as the man who inflicted that cut is going to affect him mentally. As for my pick, if Fundora continues to fight the way that he did against Booker, and I think he will, He will keep Tszyu on a string and he will win on points. I think he's going to win. What do you think?
Depends on really, you set it up. It's what does Tszyu have left more, I think, mentally than physically. He's not an old guy or anything like that. But the blood
30.
from the first fight and then the knockout loss and then a better Fundora would lead me to lean towards Fundora to win the fight by decision. As long as he doesn't get caught early in the fight, I'll pick Fundora by decision.
Okay, then we move on to Barrios versus Pacquiao, and both of us have been against this fight from the moment it was announced, and for good reason. Manny's 46 years old. He's returning to the ring nearly 4 years after losing to Yordenis Ugas, and he didn't look good in his two exhibition fights that he's had since. Now, I do believe we will see the best that Pacquiao has left because he's clearly put in the work. It looked like he was in pretty good shape at the Hall of Fame, but that's cosmetic. We don't know if he is in fighting shape. We know he's in good cosmetic shape. Um, I think that Pacquiao is facing a man in Barrios. He's 6.5 inches taller. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage and he knows how to use it. Like Fundora, if he chooses to box at long range, he can make it a very easy night for himself. He's faster, he's longer, and he knows how to box. But
Yeah, and you
Barrios
forgot
is
about younger. The most important thing is he's
very, very
younger.
much so.
He's
I mean
150 years younger.
yeah, 46 versus 30.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another thing. Of course, it's the thing. And if Barrios chooses to box at long range, I think that he could win on points. But Barrios is, at heart, he's a slugger. He wants to please the crowd. And because of that, he'll give Manny Pacquiao chances to score. I just don't think at this point Pacquiao has
When
what it
was the
takes
last
to take
time Manny
advantage.
knocked anybody out? What year was it? When the last time Manny? You don't have to look, but it's been a
I think it was
long time ago since
Lucas
he knocked
Matisse,
anybody
maybe?
out.
Yeah, Lucas Matisse. And
Well, I
before
guess
that,
let's
he
just
didn't knock
say, do
anybody
you
out.
think Pacquiao will be able to? I know you're picking Barrios, I can tell. Do you think it'll be by
Yes.
decision or stoppage?
I think the most likely result is going to be by decision, but if Manny Pacquiao looks particularly old and if Barrio takes advantage of it, I would not rule out the possibility of a later round TKO.
Yeah, I think the most obvious is a stoppage by Barrios. If he and it'll only be to me one thing. If he doesn't show Manny any respect, that's the one thing you didn't mention. Being in there with a living legend,
Yeah,
sometimes, oh my God, I'm in here with a living legend. We talk about when a guy goes up for the first time under the big bright lights of a main event or a pay-per-view. Well, imagine when Barrio goes face to face and the referee's giving their final instructions and he's about to fight a guy who's an 8 division world champion and a guy who just got in the Hall of Fame a month ago.
right.
And we were there. I think if that doesn't blur the lines for him, then he will stop my friend Manny Pacquiao. I see Manny winding out after 4 or 5 rounds. Hey, you know what? I've been wrong before. I would love to be wrong, but that's my pick as we go to the big guys.
Yeah, after Stevenson won last week, I remember you asking me on the phone if I would dare bring out the tornado warning for a second straight week. Well, here's the answer to your question.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Zapata couldn't do it. I guess you think Dubois has a shot.
yes, he okay. I know that Usyk stopped Dubois in the ninth round of their first meeting. And I know that Usyk largely dominated that fight. But I believe the dynamic has changed for both fighters since then. And here's why. In their first fight, Usyk, who was flying high off his back-to-back wins over Anthony Joshua, he faced a 25-year-old who was scarred by his TKO loss to Joe Joyce, where he was accused of being a quitter, and he was fresh off a win over Kevin Lorena that saw Dubois suffer 3 first-round knockdowns. That version of Dubois was struggling mightily with his confidence, and matters only worsened for him by the fact that Usyk-Dubois I was staged in Poland before tens of thousands of Usyk fans. Now, lots changed in the last 2 years. First, Usyk is coming off a pair of physically taxing fights against a 6'9" giant in Tyson Fury, while Dubois is riding high off consecutive wins against Jarrell Miller, Philip Ergovich, and Anthony Joshua. Dubois said after the Miller win that fight gave him the confidence that he had been missing, and he couldn't have asked for a better preamble for this fight than the knockout of Joshua. Second, Dubois is 27 years old, and he is at his physical and psychological peak, while Usyk, at 38, is the third oldest male champion in boxing behind Arislandi Lara and Badu Jack. Third, the fight is going to be staged at Wembley Stadium. 90+ thousand in the stands. Most of them are going to be supporting Dubois. Usyk will have his fans as well, of course. Can Usyk get up to fight a man who he previously dominated? And will this be the fight, as Tommy said, where Usyk, as great as he has been, suddenly grow old? If Dubois channels his physical and emotional energy correctly, and he doesn't allow the occasion to overtake him, he can become the new undisputed heavyweight champion. And the most likely route for Dubois to do that is by TKO, because he has 21 knockouts in his 22 wins. He has the power to do that. If he catches him with a clean shot and hurts him, he can finish him. And as of Tuesday, Usyk is a -330 favorite. Dubois is a +250 underdog. And he's a +350 underdog to score the knockout. History suggests that Dubois' most likely route is a TKO. And since I'm picking Dubois by TKO.
That was a word salad there. I'm not given to vacillation, ambivalence, or ambiguity. My sagation, perspication, and sapience. I bet you like that, Dazzling Dawn. That was good, wasn't it? Tells me that the better fighter by far, is Usyk. Unless he's gotten old for the reasons I brought up with Tommy, and you brought him up again there, and rightfully so, his age and those tough fights, and going all the way back to when he started years and years and years ago as an amateur. He wins. He should control the fight with his tremendous boxing acumen and his dexterity, and I think he wins. And I'm thinking decision this time. He might get a later stoppage, or Dubois might quit. But either way, Usyk is one of the best. He's certainly as good as anybody in the world. He might be the best fighter in the world. He's right up there in the top 3 or 4, and he's brilliant. And I hope that he fights well. I hope he wins, and I hope he retires. In fact, there's a few retirements that I'm hoping for this weekend. One, somebody that should have stayed retired in Pacquiao, and Usyk. He's given us more than we deserve as boxing fans. He's brilliant. So we'll see. Good stuff. Tommy Yankello, Lee Groves. Enjoy the fights, everybody.